Hey everybody, Michael Snyder, Pacific Northwest Weather Watch. Today is February 2nd. Happy Groundhog Day to everybody out there. And if you did not hear, the groundhog did see a shadow this morning, which means 6 more weeks of winter according to him. But if you look at this graphic, he's only been right 40% of the time over the last 10 years here, which strangely enough is a form of skill. So pick the opposite of what the groundhog says and you're probably usually be right. But anyway, just having some fun with the groundhog there in this graphic shown here. This is the National Weather Service Portland. Apparently they have a weather chicken out there who did see a shadow this morning. And I don't know if that means 6 more weeks of winter or what exactly, but just having some fun with the groundhog out there. So let's dive into things here. Infrared satellite imagery here, BC, Washington, Oregon. There goes our storm system here. We are uptrending wind speeds here across Pacific Northwest. We have some wind advisories in effect. We'll take a look at what kind of winds we can expect here in a few moments. We'll look at the extended forecast as well. It looks like some atmospheric river activity and some additional windstorm potential is moving towards Pacific Northwest through the 10-day period here. So stay tuned for that. I took this picture this morning, lenticular cloud. This just kind of shows where the flow hits the mountain, rides up, hits the condensation level, and just kind of seems like it's just standing there as this flow moves across. So to get lenticular clouds, you need a stable, strong flow that's just below the condensation level there. So when you rise it up a little bit, you get these lenticular clouds out there. So pretty nice picture there out there this morning. I saw a lot of other nice pictures as well. This is kind of a zoomed in look at it there. It looks like a flying saucer almost. But anyway, looking at this, wind advisories across some of the island counties, northwest interior, northwest Washington coast, some of the higher terrain down there through southern Oregon. Also, as the storm approaches, you may see them expand some of these advisories across some of the other coastal areas, maybe even down towards the central Puget Sound, depending on how these models trend, because some of the models are showing some pretty good gusts up towards 50 miles per hour all the way Olympia northward across some of the Puget Sound area there. High wind watch across some of the portions of the Rocky Mountains there through Montana. Now taking a look here, 700 millibars, 10,000 feet. You can clearly see our mid-latitude cyclone on the moves. It burrows into Vancouver Island tomorrow during the day, and you can see the strong winds at 10,000 feet here. This would be looking at 5,000 feet. There goes our developing cyclone here, moving towards Pacific Northwest, moving into Vancouver Island as well. It's kind of giving you a three-dimensional look at the wind speeds at different elevations there. This is looking at 925 millibars here. This is 2,500 feet off the surface. You can see strong winds moving across the area here as we go on in through the morning and afternoon tomorrow, and then another system on the heels of that. More on that here coming up. Now, this is looking at 6-hour precipitation. You can see that storm system with the tight gradient here, bringing some nice mountain snows here. Not a huge rainmaker for some of the interior areas here, but it will be a fairly rainy day as we go on through Friday on into Friday night, shown there. Now taking a look here, wider view of things here, Hawaiian Islands, Pacific Ocean, BC, Washington, Oregon. There goes our developing system here. This is the 12Z European, hot off the presses here, 4 a.m. run. Powerful gradient there with this storm system. We'll look at those wind speeds here coming up shortly. Then the next system rolls a frontal system through here as well. And then you can see some atmospheric river looking signatures out here on in through early next week across Pacific Northwest, shown there as that frontal system moves through also. And then another storm system developing out here across the Pacific. So we got a storm train coming our way here, folks, and we'll continue to watch these storms out in the extended day by day. Taking a look at this, 500 millibars, 18,000 feet. This is temperature. Look at that storm system diving up into the Pacific Northwest. You see the next one on its heels there. And then you can see this next cold air batch here moving across Pacific Northwest. Got to watch out for windstorm potential with this one also, and atmospheric river potential as well. But that's why they call them mid-latitude cyclones here, is because this is where the biggest temperature gradient sets up. The difference between the equatorial and the subtropics here versus the polar areas here, it sets up that strong pressure gradient. That's why these storms develop in our latitude here across Pacific Northwest. Now taking a look here, this is the high resolution Canadian. Look at some of these wind gusts here. This is accumulated max 10 meter wind gusts here. Look at some of Bellingham, up over 60 miles per hour. Same thing for the San Juans here in Whidbey Island. Coastal areas, Vancouver Island coast, higher terrain. Right around 40 here for Seattle. They're not too much on this one, but just kind of blustery conditions. However, not all models agree with that. We'll take a look at that here in a moment. This is looking at the Canadian 10 kilometer here. You can see some of these gusts up towards 50 for the Seattle Metro, even down towards Olympia, and really strong winds here up across the northwest interior, the island counties, straight at Georgia here, and the immediate coastline, higher terrain as well. This is the European hot off the presses as well. Let's play this out, and you can see Seattle up towards 40 here, 40 for Olympia, big wins, good model agreement for the Northwest Interior, coastal regions there as well. NAM 3KM, pretty similar picture here, some winds up towards 50 miles per hour for the Puget Sound also. This is the HER 3KM at 4 a.m. also. Take a look at this, 45 for Seattle, up towards 50 for Olympia here. Really strong signal for the Northwest Interior, though, coming up. Now, this is looking at the Vancouver Island coastline here. You can see the big winds coming up here. This is kilometers per hour, but these gusts are up over 60 miles per hour in some of these cases here. And you can see the ensemble mean getting up towards 90 kilometers per hour there for the Vancouver Island coastline. Bellingham, check out a lot of these ensembles do have gusts over 50 miles per hour with the additional winds coming with the next system. Also in through early portion of next week. This is Tillamook, Oregon coast, 60 miles per hour showing up in some of these runs here as well. The ensemble mean up into the lower 50s as well. Seattle, Tacoma, these have been uptrending here as well. This is 06Z run last night. You can see the ensemble mean getting up towards 40 miles per hour, and then some additional wind here possible on in through early next week. Quileute, pretty rainy system coming in here. Pretty good agreement here with over an inch of rain coming in a 24-hour period, and then perhaps even more as we go on in through early next week, with an even wetter system there. Seattle, Tacoma here, you can see it's not going to be too crazy rainy here as you go through Friday on the day and then on through Saturday morning here, 24-hour totals. Nothing too crazy, but you will notice the rain falling out there after these nice few days we've been having. And you can see on in through next week the potential for more precipitation with the next storm system arriving there. Now, this is looking at total precipitation. This is last night's European run. In fact, let's just update this now because we got new data coming in here. This is the 12Z. We'll see how far this goes out. Putting this into motion, you can kind of just see the waves of precipitation coming our way, especially for Vancouver Island, some of the coastal ranges, Cascades here, as we go on in through the extended. Look at Vancouver Island, places up over a foot of rainfall showing up there, 17 inches here by hour 198 here. But you can see we're going to remain active here through the 10-day period, or at least a 200-hour period there. Typical rain shadowed areas across eastern Washington, British Columbia as well. And you can see the big amounts for some of the higher terrain coming in here. Now, this is looking at the European hot off the presses here versus the GFS 12Z run as well. Put this into motion. There goes our system. Good model agreement on that one is always in the short term. Next system moves through here, and then we bring a big batch of cold air across the Gulf of Alaska here on the European. You can see the difference here now emerging. The ridging here on the GFS versus this more of an atmospheric river setup here on the European. Which model do you like here? It's not that far out. It's about 120 hours or so, and this would be about Tuesday morning shown there. But then it shows that system swinging through on both models here, and as you get a little bit further out, you can kind of see a little bit of differences here, but you can see the GFS and European kind of agreeing here on an active Gulf of Alaska as we go on in through the hour 168 shown here. Now, looking at this, atmospheric river potential, it's up all the way up towards moderate here. You can see just clipping the moderate area here on the European control run. I think this was as of last night, if I am correct here. 0Z, correct. Okay. So yeah, we're looking here at some AR3 possibilities coming up here with this next system here. And then you can see the additional system coming up after that. So, but it should be fairly beneficial right now. We're not dealing with any extreme flooding events also, but we have to watch just to see the strength on these systems here coming in here, because if you get a strong system, it can cause flooding concerns all on its own. But right now, we should be doing okay as far as flooding is concerned. This is backcountry here. You can see low generally across the Cascades, but still check these conditions if you're going out in the backcountry. You see Idaho, Montana, some moderate and considerable avalanche danger across the region there, including northeast Oregon there. Monthly temperature outlook. If you missed this one, I showed it yesterday, January 31st. This is for the month of February here, expecting below average temperatures across much of the west coast here. An above average signal here for the Pacific Northwest. Again, this was issued January 31st, and this is for the month of February. So anyway, yeah, the groundhog spoke this morning. Do you guys believe him or not? Leave in the comments below. But you can see he hasn't been doing that well the last 10 years. But anyway, we have a strong storm system moving our way here, folks. So heads up for this wind as it picks up during the morning on Friday. I'd be prepared across Pacific Northwest anytime early tomorrow morning here. Watch out for those winds starting to pick up across the region. And this could include some of the Seattle Metro, the I-5 corridor down there as well. But big winds coming for the northwest interior, the coastal regions here. Probably some big wave activity coming up there as well. We'll check the wave activity tomorrow morning. It usually lags the big winds by a little bit here, and we'll watch that model run as we go on into tomorrow's forecast as well. And I'll probably do actually a video for California coming up here this morning Well, I may or may not. No promises there. And we might look at the wave heights if I do that video. But otherwise, we'll look at that tomorrow. But yeah, strong storm system moving up the coastline here, uptrending here as we get closer to the event. So heads up for that. Watch for that anytime Friday morning and on. And we're going to remain active through the extended there. So yeah, it is winter here in the Pacific Northwest, and we are in an active period here. So anyway, yeah, hope you guys are liking these videos. Click like, subscribe, let your friends know, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.